Welcome to the Aurora Podcast, where we discuss beyond our textbook topics, as well as explore different career paths beyond high school in order to diversify and advance our knowledge.
I'd like to recognize that we are gathered today at the Watka Museum, where they seek to stimulate curiosity about our changing cultural, historical, and natural landscapes from the youngest to the oldest minds.
This podcast is made by students for students. And my name is Ben Lan. I'm your host. I'm joined with Owen, and today we will be interviewing Nate Gaines, who is an admission counselor at Western Washington University. So would you mind introducing yourself a little more?
Yeah.
On what kind of your job entails?
For sure, yeah. Well, first, thanks for allowing me to come here today. It's super cool. Listen to a couple others, and yeah, it seems like a pretty special thing you guys got going. But my name is Nate, admissions counselor at Western, so just up the road. There's about 6 of us counselors in the whole office. Our job is to travel around to different high schools and college fairs and community colleges, working with students on their application process. Also, just kind of spreading the word about college and giving them an opportunity to go to college and apply to colleges. And then also we do a lot of programs on campus. And I'm also a 2016 grad from Squalicum High School in Bellingham, and then a 2020 grad from Western. So I got a Bachelor of Arts degree in Human Services, and then a minor in Education and Social Justice through our Woodring College of Education. So it's a little bit about myself.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So the whole college admission process
Uh-huh.
and writing your application is a very daunting responsibility for any high schooler. Could you touch a little on how that is on your end of things, as well as maybe alleviating some of that pressure?
For sure, yeah. So a big part of our job is to make sure that it is the smoothest process as it possibly can be. So we have meetings with various students and families. We do application workshops. What we see our end is we try to make it as straightforward as possible as well. So whether that's helping students with their essay as much as possible. We also post, application tips on our admissions website. We have essay prompts every year posted like a year in advance, so students can start working on those essays. At least at Western, we also have a topic of choice essay as well, where students can, copy and paste an essay that they wrote maybe for another university, maybe for, I know some schools will do an AVID class or a college writing class where the requirement is to write an essay. I had a great teacher by the name of Mr. Dolmatz at Squalicum High School who, in his class, he taught us, walked us through writing essays. And we also do that as well in the admissions office. If students want to send in their essays, or if they want to, have us review for content, we're happy to go through and say, you talked a lot about this, but take this out, put more of this in, or something like that. So that's kind of what we see, kind of what we do, and kind of how we make that process a little bit more smoother. We try to, set up appointments all the time. I mean, I just talked to a group from Burlington Edison High School today, just this morning, talking about, different tips and ways that they can make their application stronger and all that stuff. So kind of went around the world there for a little bit, but that's kind of what we see on our end. And of course, transcripts, grades, all that. We kind of look at it in a more holistic view. So we're also reading essays. Of course, we're looking at your grades, activities lists, and all that stuff. Does that kind of answer your question there a little bit? Okay, great.
So what do you generally look for in a college essay? What pops out to you? What do you see as important, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. So at Western, and I think a lot of the schools too, we try to keep them as open-ended as possible because we don't want to make we don't want to just give one topic and you have to write on this topic. We try to give a big variety of topic, whether that's talk about your diverse experiences, whether that's talking about a thing that you've done. But what we'd like to see is not so much. We don't really care too much about grammar. Of course, we want to be able to read it smoothly. Of course. So look over it, edit your essays, but big on content. So we really want to know who you are, because if I look at a transcript and I say, Ben's got all A's, he's got a B here, this and that, it doesn't really tell me who you are as an actual person. So the essay allows for you to kind of, show us what we can't see on the transcript, if that makes sense. So we like content. We like you to talk about who you are, where you come from. More is better. An average essay to Western, I think a lot of other state schools is about a page and a half to 2 pages. That's a good That's a good chunk right there.
Mhm.
Any more of that, sometimes can be a little hard to read through, and of course we want you to tell as much information as possible. But I think about a page and a half to 2 pages is good. What we also like to see is students write about themselves. Bragging about yourself too. This might be the only time you can get awarded for, bragging about yourself. So
Yeah.
talk about, various things that you started. Talk about the podcast that you started. Talk about being in band, choir, church organization, anything at all. We want you to put that in the essay. But then also a big thing is tell us why you want to come to Western. So or any other university. So if Gonzaga University has a great engineering program, you can say, I've looked into this engineering program. Had a lot of friends that have gone through it or older siblings, and I want to be a part of this because of this and that. And students, a lot of schools want to see that you've done your research, that you really want to be a part of their community. So, and then also another thing I like to see is telling us what you're going to bring to Western's campus. So if you're involved in a ethnic student club, for example, maybe you start an ethnic student club. You can say, hey, when I get to Western or when I get to whatever school you're applying for, I want to continue my work in the ethnic student clubs because I got a lot out of that in high school, and I want to continue doing that, at your campus. So, yeah. So backtracking, tell us why you want to come here. Tell us who you are. Tell your story. More is better, but maybe not so. More than that. Those 2 pages. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about the essay and things.
Yeah.
I've heard kind of from the admission side of things, you guys can tell when the parents have maybe written it, and how important is it that the student has their unique voice heard in that essay?
Yeah, very, very important. So, and that's why we're not really looking at grammar too much. And I think, if you're not a strong writer, that's completely okay. So, yeah, you can definitely tell when it's not really the student's voice. That's why I encourage, the student to write the essay. And, of course, maybe have a parent or a counselor or something look over it for those kind of, minor details. But, yeah, super important because, like I said, we want to hear your voice, and we can definitely tell. Yeah. I just helped a younger sibling of mine, just write an essay for a transfer application, and you can definitely tell that he wrote the essay, and that was his words, and it was very authentic, and that's what ultimately got him into his school. So yeah, I think that's super important.
Yeah. What about letters of rec? So you're talking about individuals and making sure that your story is seen, you're bragging about yourself. What about other people doing that? How important is that, and what can that look like?
Yeah, it varies on the school. At Western Washington, we actually don't require letters of recommendation. Although if you got one, because I know a lot of students apply to multiple schools, they'll ask lots of counselors and teachers to write letters of rec. Go for it. I mean, it can only help you. But it won't be counted against you if you didn't submit those, at least to our school. So, but those are great. And you could also use letters of recommendations for other jobs, for even on-campus jobs. So maybe it's not a requirement to get into the university, but if you want to be a part of like a really neat job on campus or some research job or something like that, you can definitely use those letters of recommendations for those things. So for other things too. So it's not a requirement for our school. I know a lot of schools do have a requirement. And yeah, I think the big thing with letter of recommendations is, reach out to teachers that really know you, that can really, vouch for you. I had a great AP US history teacher when I was at Squalicum High School who wrote me a very, very nice letter of recommendation. I used that letter of recommendation for multiple things and was very thankful for it. So I didn't need it to get into Western, but I definitely used it for other on-campus jobs and things that I did. So
Was that Mr. Dixon?
it was, yeah.
Okay, we had him on the podcast.
Yeah. The legendary Dave Dixon.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, so talking about AP classes.
Yeah.
How important are those in the application process? And do the test scores really matter, or is it more just kind of the grade that you get in the class?
Yeah, so due to the recent pandemic, we actually took away SAT and ACT requirements. Although if you did really well in the SAT or ACT, feel free to submit those scores, but it won't be counted against you. So those, it's not a requirement for test scores, which I think is great because then I think it appeals to a whole broader, different group. So it might be a group of students who are not really good test takers, and they say, "Oh, well, I can't go to college because I can't do well in the SAT." Well, we don't want to cancel out those types of students, and so they don't have to submit those scores, and they can do other things in the application to show who they are. In other words,
Yeah.
I'll go back to also saying we look at the application in a holistic way, so to speak. So we're looking at academic rigor. So that's why we require, your whole transcripts. So if you have AP courses, IB, college and high school, that's considered high rigor, which is very good. We like to see that you are challenging yourself a little bit. You are taking that AP US history course. You are taking that AP Lang course. So yeah, we love to see that. We love to see AP, IB. At Western, and I think a few other schools too, we base it off of an unweighted cumulative GPA. So AP we do not weight those grades, so to speak. So if you get like a really good grade in like an A in an AP class, it won't make it above a 4.0. So we stop it at a 4.0, and it's an unweighted GPA, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we do transfer credit from those AP courses, which is awesome. So if you got a 4 or 5 on the AP US history test, then that's college credit, which can also count for like what's called a general university requirement course or gen ed class, so to speak. So yeah, academic rigor, we look at that. We want to see that you're taking a few challenging courses, and it doesn't have to be a lot. Even if you just took maybe one AP course every year, that's 4 AP courses by the time you're applying to college, and that looks awesome. So yeah, rigor is great, and we look at everything. So
what about extracurriculars?
yeah,
I know Ben's doing a lot. I've
Yeah.
outside of school as
Yeah.
well. What does that look like, and how can you advertise that and use it to apply to colleges?
For sure, we love extracurricular stuff. I mean, we make it a requirement within the application that you submit an activities list, and a lot of schools have those. In fact, so I think just about every school I can think of probably has an activities list requirement of some sort. You can submit a resume, or you can just jot down all the different things that you've been a part of. We love to see that you're involved. It shows that you're a very well-rounded student. We think that's just as important as you getting all A's in all AP courses, but you're not doing anything. So we want you to, be involved in at least something. This could be anything at all. When I applied to college, I was working at Little Caesars, unfortunately. Shout out to Little Caesars, love Little Caesars. But, it's just one of those jobs that you have when you're in high school. And that was a job. I put that on the application because I was doing something outside the classroom. And like I said, it could be anything. It could be band, choir, ASB, anything at all. It could even be, watching your neighbor's cat, or maybe you have a younger sibling that you look after. I know on the Common App now, on the activities list, if you were an older sibling, you can put that as an activity and explain what you do as an older sibling, because that could be, a big job for a lot of families.
Yeah.
So, we love to look at activities.
Yeah. So speaking of being an older sibling, I know there's a ton of kids, especially during the pandemic, who are taking care of siblings who are struggling with school due to that. How can they still apply to college and make themselves, available?
Yeah.
And promote themselves, even though maybe they're struggling in high school just because of uncontrollable circumstances?
Yeah. Great question. And we all know about those circumstances.
Yeah.
So we look at that in that view. But also, we encourage students to talk about that in your essay. So if, say you got a D, or maybe you didn't make the grade for an Algebra 2 class, talk about that in the essay. In the Common App, and we're also in the Common App. So in the Common App, there's a part where you can write some additional information. And then also in the regular admissions application for Western, we have a Tell Us More kind of section. So feel free to just go in there and, write about what happened, or however much you feel comfortable sharing. But we want to hear about it. If say, I just could not understand, learning over Zoom, put that in the application, and we will take into consideration anything that students share.
Yeah. For sure. Do you think that the online kind of era really has affected people's applications for the next, however many years, and how have colleges kind of changed how they're looking at those applications?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. One of those was test scores. I mean, we're not making that a requirement anymore, just because during the pandemic, a lot of students just didn't have access to go and take the tests, or maybe they weren't, prompting those tests in that area or that town or city that they were living in. So one of those things is test scores. Also, I would say sometimes a lot of how do I put this? A lot of subjects, it's probably better off taught in person, maybe
Yeah.
like a math or a science course. So sometimes you might see a little change in I guess being prepared for a college level math or science course. We see that sometimes, but I would say those are probably the two big ones there.
Yeah.
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 So,
But then we also plug the resources that we have in a lot of universities too, not just Western, but there's academic advising, there's tutoring centers all over campus. Just about every college you go to, there's just seems like there's endless resources, and we encourage a lot of those types of students to just keep reaching out, getting help when they can. Go to office hours for professors. Even reach out to us in the admissions office if you feel concerned about a science or a math course, or maybe a course that you took online that you know, just didn't understand the material in the way that you wanted to. So
yeah. There's been a lot of discussion whether, college is for the majority of high schoolers or how, like, important do you think it is for high schoolers to pursue higher education and go to college?
Yeah, I think it's super, super important. As a matter of fact, I was talking about this with my uncle just the other day, actually. Yes, it's great to go and get a degree, and obviously you're learning about whatever field that you're interested in. But the networking side of college is absolutely incredible because you are joining. I mean, there will never be a time again where you're put on a campus with all these other people that are your age, and you're with each other 24/7, right? You're going to clubs like, different academic clubs and athletic clubs, and you're playing intramural sports, and you're going to class, and you're in the library to midnight, 1 a.m., studying or whatever you're doing. So, the networking side is absolutely amazing, and you never know. I mean, your friend that you had in that math class your freshman year could be a CFO of a company one day, and you need a job, and he's a CFO, and they look at you and go, "Oh, this is Ben from my freshman year." Obviously, yeah, he's a good guy. I want to put him on my team. So, the networking side is just unbelievable. I still run into people that I've known from college, and it's just cool to see where they're going, and it's just great. And even personally too, when say you want to go to Europe one day, right? And you're backpacking through Spain or whatever, and you say, "Oh my gosh, I saw that one of my good friends from this class has a house here or whatever." He'll probably let us stay there for free. So just the networking side is unbelievable, and of course getting a degree. It's just all together. It's just absolutely a great experience. I think every student should take advantage of.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What is your job, I guess?
Yeah. Great question. Yeah, what do I do? So we do a lot of recruitment work. So I'm in charge of several different regions. So every counselor has a region within the whole U.S. And so I have Southern California, which is pretty awesome. And I also have Snohomish County and Skagit County, which is also great as well. We love our neighboring counties. So I get to travel around in the spring and fall to different high schools and college fairs. I do a lot of college application workshops. I just do like basic information sessions at those schools. When I'm on campus, we are reviewing applications for admissions. So we're also on the committee. So we get to review most of the applications that come in. And then also we're running different events as well on campus. So these are information sessions. We have campus visits twice a day, 6 days a week. So we're always doing those types of things. We also have campus visits where, maybe an AVID class or a college writing class will come to campus. We'll get to meet with those students. We also do scholarship review and scholarship receptions, and we partner with the Honors College to do various honors events as well. So we do a lot of partnerships with on-campus, different divisions and stuff to kind of promote different sides of the university. I get to work with the College of Education for some of their scholarship stuff. So and it's a lot of fun. And I personally like to just be a part of that community. So I do a lot of extra things sometimes too, like Black History Month is in a couple days, and so I get to work with our Black Student Coalition and do a lot of different events on campus with our Multicultural Center. And then I love participating in athletics. So whenever athletics needs like a public announcer or just some help around, I've done that in the past as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
long job description.
No, for sure. I mean, it sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also a big deciding factor when someone's looking whether they want to go to college or not is the whole student loan side of things. It's an expensive thing, but I feel like there are a lot of scholarship opportunities as well as financial aid that colleges provide, which helps those students. So if I'm maybe concerned about the financial side of things,
Yeah.
how would I approach looking for scholarships and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's one of the biggest concerns, and I
Yeah.
talk to families about that a lot. I would say that we award scholarships in the admissions office for it's called merit-based scholarships. So for like your essay, your grades, your activities list, all that kind of goes into play. So we do just automatically award scholarships when you apply. So that's kind of a cool thing. You don't have to do any additional information or complete another application. We also have diversity scholarships. So if you've done things for maybe like you were part of some ethnic student club in your high school, or even if you just have a diverse background. I mean, there are students that come from all over the world that have very unique experiences and speak multiple languages. Put that in an essay because we can get you money for that. So I would always say don't hold back on your strengths, who you are. Apply for every scholarship that you see that's out there, because you never know. If you have a super amazing talent that not a lot of people know about, write about it. Find a scholarship. I mean, there's scholarships for people being short. I mean, there's scholarships for, anything at all. I mean, there's so many different things out there, and I would recommend, applying for as many scholarships as possible. At Western, we have a scholarship center, and that's where every scholarship that's available for the Western community is posted on that one website. So we try to make it as easy as possible. Just type in WW scholarships, pops right up. So we encourage you to go through, apply for all those different scholarships. There's departmental scholarships once you get into your major, so definitely look at those. So there's a lot of opportunities. One thing I try to tell a lot of students is don't look at the money right now. Focus on getting in, and then I guarantee you that there will be resources out there to make sure that you get your college experience funded, which is great. And there's the FAFSA, which is federal aid. We encourage all students to fill out that application. But the big one really is to work hard on those scholarships, because you can get a lot of money that way too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think the other aspect of colleges is just selecting the college itself. If I have a certain skill set and maybe an idea of where I want to go, even just how many colleges I apply to and what those colleges are is daunting to me.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of go about finding colleges that you think are suited for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I would look at location, because you're gonna be living there for 4+ years.
Yeah.
So I think obviously visiting schools if you can. I know there's a lot of different groups out there that will take students to. So if you can't afford to go visit a school somewhere, definitely look for different groups and organizations in the area. But I would also say location is huge. I think you're going to be living there. You're going to want to be a part of that community. So definitely looking at location and just visit the school. I mean, there's a reason why we have campus visits just about every single day. Yeah, that's the best way to really know if that campus is a good fit for you.
Yeah.
So walk on the campus. Go on the tours. Meet with students and meet with current students. We have a whole student team of about 40 students, and their job is to basically talk to prospective and incoming students about their experiences and all that stuff. And a lot of times, if you meet with a student, you're more comfortable, I think, and you're more I think you're going to open up a little bit more, because they're going to kind of connect with you a little bit better. So meeting with students, looking at the location, and just visiting those campuses is super, super important. And a lot of schools out there have free visits, and so we'll feed you at Western sometime. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, but yeah, we have different groups. They'll take them to the dining hall, and you can kind of experience that aspect. And so I think that's huge. That was huge from my experience. I grew up in a little small town in Georgia, and my dad is a teacher at Squalicum High School, and my stepmom was a teacher here in the Bellingham School District. And I would but my mom lives in Georgia, so I grew up with that side of the family. And when I moved to Bellingham full time when I was 16, I just fell in love with the town. That's why I didn't want to leave, because I was like, wow, there's a college here right up on the hill. It's awesome. And so location was huge for me, and that's why I chose Western too. So that was a little backstory in there. Sorry.
So looking for place is important.
Yeah.
How can you do that? I guess because it's hard. Maybe you live in New York and you. How are you going to get all the way to Bellingham to look for Western, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you recommend doing for that?
Yeah. So a lot of admissions offices and schools, I mean, they have websites. I would check out websites. We have virtual tours on our website. I mean, even YouTube, you can just go on there, and I'm sure they've got some type of tour around the campus. You know, obviously, if you can't get there, you're just going to have to make do with looking at it through like a video or a virtual tour of some sort. But that's better than nothing, I think. So, yeah, just going through websites. There's a ton of information out there. Don't ever hesitate to call as well. You can always call the admissions office just about in every school, and I guarantee you're not bugging any counselor at all, because their job is to work with you, talk with you. If you want to know an experience from that specific staff member, give them a call, set up a Zoom meeting. You never know. So yeah, I would say look at the website and just reach out. That's super important. Yeah.
So before we wrap up here, the last
Yeah.
thing I kind of want to discuss is maybe student life at college. Once you get into college, you mentioned kind of the networking aspect. So how do you even approach, getting connected at your college?
Yeah, for sure. I think the big thing is just putting yourself out there. When I first went to college, one thing I noticed is that everyone wanted to be there, which I think is something special about that. Sometimes in high school, no disrespect to high school, I had great experience in high school, but sometimes you'll be in a class where, students are not paying attention, or they're not participating in a class discussion or something like that. But when you go to college, I mean, everyone, at least from my experience, wanted to be there. And I thought that was cool, because it was like, oh, we're all here for the same purpose. It's awesome, which makes it easier to connect with people. So I'm talking day one. As a matter of fact, I was just a groomsman in a wedding this past summer. And the bride and groom I met first day of class, Psych 101, they sat right in front of me. And there's something cool about that. And we were all groomsmen in the wedding, and we were all, buddies from college, and we all met through going to class. We all met by just turning around and saying, hey, I'm Nate. Hey, I'm Jackson. Nice to meet you, and hey, you want to go study in the library after this? So just putting yourself out there. It could be a bit challenging, maybe if you're more introverted, but I guarantee it's worthwhile, because you can meet some of your lifelong best friends in those classes, and by just stepping outside of your zone. A cool thing about college is there's some type of club activity for just about every type of student. If you like to play chess, there's a chess club. If you like to swim, there's a swimming club. If you like, if you're a Harry Potter fan, there's a Quidditch team at Western. So, there's a lot of different ways of getting active and involved. I was a tour guide. I like to talk. I walked into my first meeting as a tour guide right before spring quarter. I think it was of my sophomore year. And I called my dad right after, and I said, hey, I just met like 40 different extroverts, and this is like heaven. And he was like, oh, great. It's a great place for you. So, we got to do tours for just about my entire college experience. Those are some of my best friends. I wanted to work on my professional development skills, so resume building, going and doing volunteering work. And there's this professional development club of like 60 students, and we got to dress up and go to these events and work on building a LinkedIn profile and all that stuff. So there's just so many different groups. I think it's just gonna be uncomfortable at first to just go find those groups, step outside your comfort zone, but I truly think it's worth it if you do it. At Western, we have an information session. It's called the information fair, the first 2 days before school starts, and every club, service, just about every department, even it's on campus, is in one spot. That's a great place where you can sign up to so many different clubs. As a matter of fact, I think I signed up for like 20 plus clubs. Be mindful though, if you sign up for too many, you're going to get a lot of emails. I think I still might get emails in my Gmail account from, whatever club that I thought was cool at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, just go outside your comfort zone, meet people, and people want to meet you too. So I think that's That's super awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being on
Absolutely.
today.
Yeah, I know I've learned a lot about just admission process
Yeah.
and college
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And I hope that that clears up some of maybe your if
Concerns.
you're nervous about
Yes.
if you're nervous about applying to colleges, it's it's something that will be a big life decision, but it will be worth it. So
Yeah. All right.
thank you
Great.
for joining us.
Yeah, thank you all. This
Yeah.
is cool.
All right, see y'all next time.